الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. I seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala against Shaitan, the rejected one. I begin with the mighty name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful. Peace and blessings be upon Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the genuine members of his household, his companions, and all the Muslims who sacrificed their lives for the sake of Islam. We are in the month of Muharram, a month in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned as one of the sanctified months. This is mentioned in chapter 9, ayah 36 of the Holy Quran, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, verily the number of months with Allah is 12, as ordained by Allah on the day of creating the heavens and the earth. Of these 12, 4 are sacred. That is the right religion. So, in these months, wrong not yourselves therein, and fight against mushrikun, that is the polytheists, the pagans, the idolaters, the disbelievers in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Fight them collectively as they fight against you collectively. Allah is with those who are muttaqin. Sadaqallahu al-Azim. This is found in chapter 9, the 36th ayah of the Holy Quran. Now, this month, Muharram, the meaning of Muharram is forbidden. Something that is forbidden. Now the reason why Allah has sanctified certain acts in this month is because He has said it is unlawful to spill blood in these months. It is unlawful to create dhulm, that is oppression. It is unlawful to be unjust in these months of Muharram. This is the law that Allah has established. But unfortunately, the most tragic event that has happened in the lives of the Muslims happened in this month of Muharram. Allah says, don't spill blood in these months. Don't create oppression. But what happened? Certain people that called themselves Muslims, they violated this law of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and killed the grandson of the greatest creation of Allah, the greatest human being that has ever walked on this earth, that is Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was killed together with the committed Muslims that followed him, together with his family. They were killed in the month of Muharram. Now this month, or this incident, became to be known as Karbala. And it is very unfortunate that this event creates a lot of emotions. We see what actually transpires. This becomes a contentious issue whereby Muslims, they become angry with one another. We start calling each other names. We even go to the extent of killing each other in this month, spilling blood, calling each other kafir in this month, which Allah said we should not do all these things. However, today's lecture, I want us not to be emotional. I know it's so sad what happened to the grandson of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his family members. You know, it's a very tragic event. There is no other event that overshadows this event. But let's put aside emotionalism. Let's look at the lessons. What do we learn from this event of Karbala? We need to draw some lessons from what happened and why these tragic events took place. And after learning, we need to shape a way forward now for the future generation. Remember, whatever we do now has got a bearing in future. So inshallah, whatever we want to learn from this tragic event historically is going to shape our way forward, inshallah. We are not going to go into details regarding the horrific events of Karbala, but we are going to remember that the main reason why Karbala took place is one. The main reason is that the grandson of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, may Allah be pleased with him, he refused to take bay'ah from Yazid. He refused to align himself with the administration of Yazid. Now let's ask ourselves, why did he refuse to align himself with the administration of the time? Now to get an answer, let's analyze this administration of Yazid. Now this was an administration or a political system that had all the evils that you can ever think of. Think of gambling, think of humanizing, think of drinking alcohol, think of brutality, think of extravagance, wasting of money, think of oppressing the children, abusing the women, abusing even the disabled. Remember, Zayn Abidin was a family of the Prophet who was disabled. What happened? A crippled, a disabled person was abused by the administration of Yazid. So, when Imam Hussein was asked to pledge allegiance, he refused. He says, I cannot be part of this battle. I cannot be part of this dhulm. And he paid with his life. And together with all those that followed Imam Hussein, may Allah be pleased with their souls, they all paid with their lives. They were murdered. Now when Yazid did this, he thought that his goal is cutting off the roots of the spread of Islam for future. But little did he realize that the roots of Islam were already in too deep. There were Muslims already that Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam had sent to other places like Iraq, like Africa, like all the places. Already the roots were too deep. So the murdering of Imam al-Hussein could not cut off these roots because the tree of Islam was already so huge. So therefore, Yazid's behavior, now let's analyze, let's go back a little bit to Yazid. Yazid's behavior was the hallmark. It is the original of the agenda of the shaitan. It was not something new. Now here, let's go into detail regarding this. Remember the shaitan, when he was banished from the company of the righteous, on the right path, he made one special dua. What did he say? In chapter 7 of the Holy Quran, ayah 16 and 17, we find the answer. He says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It's a conversation between him and Allah. Shaitan says, Allah, I'm making one dua. I shall surely sit in ambush for them on your straight path. In other words, those who are going to be on your straight path, Ya Allah, I'm going to sit in ambush for them. Then I will come from upon them from the front, and I'll come from them from the rear, and from the top, from the right, from behind. In other words, in all directions. And what am I going to do to them? I'm going to make sure that I mislead them. How am I going to mislead them? I'm going to make sure that they practice infanticide, they practice gambling, they practice women abuse, they practice child abuse, they even clip the ears of the cattle. I don't know what is the meaning of this in the Quran, but Allah says they will even clip the ears of the cattle and clip their own ears. And more importantly, they are going to practice shirk. This is the agenda of the shaitan. Now, Allah says, granted, you will do all these things, and you will find agents to do all these things, but only those who are muttaqun, you are not going to get right. Those who hold firm to my Quran and my way, you are not going to get right. Now, all these things, they were occurring in different intervals of time. including during the time of Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam. We see the dua of shaitan coming up. When Nabi Ibrahim alayhi salam had to fight with his own father, that please father, don't worship all these things. They got no power to harm you or to benefit you. Nabi Ibrahim, what did they do? They put him in the fire. We see Nabi Musa alayhi salam fighting the corrupt rulership of the Fir'aun. What did he do? Fir'aun wanted to kill him. We see it during the time of Sulaiman alayhi salam, when people were practicing open sorcery, practicing the control of the jinns. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted Nabi Sulaiman power to deal with them. We see again in the times of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, again shaitan's dua rearing its ugly head. Nabi Muhammad started fighting against infanticide, children being killed, abortion being practiced during that time, corruption, tribalism, racism, all these things happening during the time of Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He fought all that. Fast forward, Nabi Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam demises. During the demise of Nabi Muhammad, again we see the ugly head of all this battle, dhulm, oppression, etc., rearing its ugly head again in the name of Yazid. So we realize that all these things, they die, they come, Allah sent a prophet, a Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he sends a messenger, he sends the servants of Allah to revive the deen. But what does Shaitan do? He still sticks to his dua that he made since time immemorial. Let's look at today. I've outlined to you exactly how the dua of Shaitan, the agenda of Shaitan, keeps on being revived. Let's look at today. Let's forget about Yazid. Let's look at the agenda again. The leadership of Muslim world today, what are they doing? Look at a country like United Arab Emirates. It was a beautiful country which served the purposes and the interests of the Muslims around the world. Today, United Arab Emirates is competing with Saudi Arabia in being the capital of gambling. Today, the United Arab Emirates is vying with Saudi Arabia in being the entertainment capital of the world. Even the fashion industry, where do you find it? You find it flourishing in countries that are Muslim-dominated lands like Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, etc. Now, all these are the hallmarks of the Shaitan. Look at what Shaitan said. He says, I even strip them of their nakedness, their women. I'll make sure that they seem to be dressed and yet they are naked. Where do you find the fashion industry today? Saudi Arabia is the capital. United Arab Emirates is the capital. And when a person speaks like how I'm speaking, he is demonized. We see a person like Imran Khan in Pakistan. He tried to revive Islam. We know he was not an angel, Imran Khan. We know he's also got his faults before he became, when he was still a cricketer. We know he did all funny stories. But when he tried now to become right and say, no man, enough is enough. Let me make sure that Islam is being followed. What did they say to Imran Khan? They got rid of him. And look at people like Muammar Gaddafi. He tried to say the resources of Libya are supposed to be shared amongst all the poor, the crippled, the woman. They're supposed to be shared by everybody. What happened to Muammar Gaddafi? They killed him. He paid with his life. Mursi in Egypt of Muslim Brotherhood, Ikhwan al-Muslimin, he tried to establish Islam, justice and fairness. They threw him in jail. They killed him. So you try to come right Islam, you pay with your life exactly how Imam Hussein alayhi salam paid. You come across leadership like Yazid, who will stop at nothing but to kill you. Today you speak like this in any masjid. The people even demonize you because even shirk is being performed in our masajid today. Not only in Saudi Arabia do they build, or in United Arab Emirates do they build Hindu temples to practice shirk. We are practicing shirk in our own masjids. We mention the names of other people that died a long time ago more than we mention the name of Allah. What does Allah say about masajids? He is saying, my name, only my name shall be revered in the masjid. Today our masajids, whose name do we revere more? Saints, pious people, all. And then we point a finger at Saudi for building temples, biggest temples in the world, when we are doing that in our own masajids. And Allah says in this ayat of the Holy Quran that I'm talking about, in this sacred month of Muharram, don't practice dhulm, don't practice oppression, and more importantly, don't practice polytheism, shirk, and yet we are doing that. Let's reflect. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.